to, I am prepared, and everyone else is, for you to turn on our live school board meeting. So we are live here in the Springfield schools.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to the February 10th, 2021 work session of the Springfield Local Board of Education. Mr. Lockwood, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Geiger?
Here.
Mr. Ominski?
Here.
Mrs. Kobach?
Here.
Mr. Muse?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Matt, do you have any visitors or anybody else that's going to present?
We did have someone that asked to address all of us, but they have canceled that appointment. So there is nobody to address the board, but we do have two great presentations for you tonight. And we will start with Otis Amick from Chrissy Elementary. So if anyone is not presenting, if you could silence your screen, and I'll do mine right now. And I give you the Chrissy principal and father of two outstanding Springfield students, Otis Amick.
Thank you for the great intro, Matt. I need to take you with me every time I go somewhere. So I'm assuming you guys still can see my presentation, correct? You can give me a thumbs up? Okay. So we all know this was, or it still is, a trying year with the pandemic and everything that's going on. So what we wanted to do at Chrissy was kind of focus on not only academics, but also trying to make kids and the staff members feel comfortable. So this is our 2021 school year so far. So we still do our Chrissy core commitments: be respectful, be responsible, be prepared, and be safe. Our student enrollment, which I have on there since 2015. So if you look at our current enrollment, it's at 318 students. Out of that 318, 51 of those students are currently in the Springfield Digital Academy. The demographics, 178 male students, 140 female students. Then it's even broken down by ethnicity. So I'll let you guys look at that. I don't have to tell you each one. Our new faces. So we have Miss Jennifer Ruiz, who started with us at the beginning of the calendar year, 2021. Miss Lutterlow, who's our STEAM teacher that splits between Chrissy and Holloway. And Mr. Brian Snyder, who's our SEL coach, who's here one day a week and then every other Monday, and he splits between Chrissy and Holloway Elementary. And Brian is coming to us from Springfield Middle School. So the big thing when we started the school year was how would not only staff members, but also students feel once they enter the building. So we try to do whatever we could to make them feel comfortable and also make our parents know that, you know, we know what kind of year we're facing, but we want everyone to feel comfortable, and we're going to try to go on as business as usual as much as possible. So our art teacher, Miss Andrews, came up with an idea pretty much over the summer. They said, you know, it'd be a great idea to welcome our students back if we could do something with our doors. We had just plain brown, not too attractive doors. So she came up and did this design. And at first she was going to use a projector to kind of project the image on the door while she sketched and painted it. it was too bright. The sun was out. So she actually had to freehand this. So if you have not been to Chrissy, it's something to see. It is a beautiful entrance to our doorway. And like I said, for her to be able to freehand that, to me, I'm not an artist, so to me, that was amazing. So like I said, we just really wanted students and our parents to feel comfortable. So that was one of our bulletin boards. Miss Andrews has Mona Lisa, and she even covered Mona Lisa in the mask. So the second time we came back to the hybrid model, I said, what can I do to, really welcome the students back and the parents back? So those first 2 days back, I came up with my lion suit, which it was perfect because it was cold outside, and that suit actually kept me warm. So I put the lion suit on for those 2 days, those first 2 days the students were back, and just kind of welcome the parents and the students back in the lion suit. And I didn't really think anything about it because I would do anything, just to make the kids feel comfortable. But I did receive an email from a parent, and she said, we were really nervous about coming back to school. And she said, as soon as we pulled up and we saw you in that lion suit, all the nerves just went away. When we first came back in the first hybrid model, parents wanted to know what were we doing to make sure the students were safe. So I shared this with our parents. The hallways, we have stickers down to show the 6 feet distance. And when the kids are in the hallway, they stay on their dots or on the red or blue dots to make sure they're 6 feet away from the next person. We use the gym. Currently, we use the gym and the cafeteria for lunch. So we social distance in the gym and in the lunchroom. The gym, we have the lawn tables, and a student will sit at each end of the table. In the lunchroom, we have desks, and we make sure those desks are 6 feet apart. The next one is just a typical classroom, and you can see that students are socially distanced apart in the classroom. Our Chrissy PBIS team, we received the Bronze Award this year. We were recognized at the December virtual award ceremony. And our Chrissy PBIS team members are Mrs. Brock, Mrs. Rectine, who also splits between Chrissy and Dorr, Mrs. Plinzer, Mrs. Purdue, Mrs. Punyon, Mrs. Reynolds, myself, and Mr. Snyder. And our focus is still the same as far as PBIS. Create that culture where we model and reward positive behavior and the desired outcomes that we want to see our students doing in the classroom and in the hallway. And during the remote process too. When students were doing remote learning, we still practice our PBIS. The picture right here is Mr. Snyder doing one of his classroom presentations. He would go into different classrooms to do our presentations as far as zones of regulation and also PBIS presentations. Some of the school activities we did this year, of course, remote learning. I know you can't probably see who that teacher is. That is Mrs. Purdue in her classroom doing remote learning. Other school activities. We did Red Ribbon Week. Mrs. Reynolds did a great job of sponsoring that in the month of October. We had a visit from Mrs. Claus. Mrs. Claus was able to go into our autism classrooms. At the time around Christmas, they were the only students still attending Chrissy. So she definitely went into those classrooms and made sure that the kids recognized that she was Mrs. Claus. And if you guys ever see Mrs. Holbein perform, she really gets straight into character. So I thought she was Mrs. Claus myself. So some of the things we like to focus on at Chrissy is still that diversity and inclusion. So during the month of February, which is going on now, we do have a couple of teachers who decorated their doors for the Black History Month. In March, we would like to do something for Women's History Month. In April, we always do something for Autism Awareness Month, since we have 3 autism classrooms. In May, of course, is Teacher Appreciation Month. Now, this is not from this year, as you can tell by the crowd and no mask. This actually took place February 2020. So this was our last character award ceremony. Last one of the year, because of course we shut down in March. And you know what? It was probably, I'm not going to say the best one, but it was one of the best ones. We had the wide receivers coach from the University of Toledo, and he came with a couple of his players too. You know what? The kids were really engaged, and I'm sure it has something to do with there was some big guys there from the football team. But it was just a really, really awesome program. And it's just kind of sad if you think about that. That was our last one. And we're just hoping at some point we can have another one and bring in the kids and bring in, some more dynamic speakers. The wide receivers coach is actually one of our parents. His student is Mariah Beard, who's a 4th grader currently in the SDA program. And I know normally we do a board breakfast. So we hope at one point within the next year, we can bring that board breakfast back and have some delicious food for you guys. And this concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Otis. Very good. I know it's a tough situation handling everything in this situation that we're in now, but you're doing an outstanding job. We appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Otis,
Matt, tearing up.
Otis, I downloaded the picture of you in the Lions outfit from Twitter. So don't be surprised if that shows up a few different times over the next several days.
You know what? I'm okay with that, Matt.
Good. Otis, excellent, and thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Now I'd like to hand it over to Taryn Miley, who is our Director of Curriculum and Assessment, PK through 5th grade.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time this afternoon. If you could give me a thumbs up if you could see the slides, K through 5 ELA curriculum. Okay, perfect. All right, well, I will tell you, I have shortened this presentation. I was thinking we would be live, but since we're unable to be live, I have shortened it. You should have already received a copy of the proposal, which highlights the timeline and budget. But today my presentation will focus on the adoption of a new ELA curriculum for grades K through 5 in Springfield local schools. So again, to limit screen time, I have shortened the original presentation, which did include teacher testimonials. To honor their time that they've given, I want to make sure that you still are able to view those incredible videos. So I will send a copy of the original presentation to you via email at a later date. All right. So in education, we can all agree that literacy is a basic human right in every zip code, everywhere. According to Ed Reports, a leading reviewer of instructional materials and programs, the instructional materials reviewed for ARC, American Reading Company, meet expectations for alignment and usability in all grades. So they were ranked green in all grades across all levels. So when we are looking to adopt a new curriculum, it is really important that we do our research. And I will tell you that we have been researching this for a few years now, and we had a core team of outstanding educators that worked tirelessly to pilot and research curriculum programs. So as you can see from the map, ARC has been a trusted partner since 1998 in 50 states, in 1,063 districts, and over 5,320 schools. Just to let you know that Rossford and Liberty Center which are neighboring districts, have adopted ARC within recent years. I don't have specific data from them yet because of the pandemic. Data right now is a little bit unreliable, so I can't give you specific data from their districts. So hopefully within the next couple of years, I can report on specific data and the progress they've made since they have adopted ARC as their core curriculum. So why do districts choose ARC? Well, basically, they have found that great success in offering districts K through 12 reading instruction and assessment, thematic inquiry core curriculum, expertly curated classroom libraries, and teacher and leadership learning. This is in both English and Spanish. And what we have found in less than 1 year, as we have piloted and started using ARC in our classrooms in K through 3, that ARC does take the mystery out of learning to read. I often joke with teachers that they are kind of like brain surgeons. Learning to read is like rocket science. It is a very complex process, and we need to provide our educators with tools that we know work and with the strategies to help our students succeed and learn to read. Okay, so the first thing we do when we adopt a new program like ARC, what we have to first use is the IRLA, which is the Independent Reading Level Assessment, to identify a child's independent reading level. The IRLA delivers specific and actionable data that tells the teacher where a student is, why, and the sequence of skills or behaviors that they need to learn next to accelerate their reading growth. The IRLA is based off of a developmental reading taxonomy, starting with what students can do. And it looks like a staircase. As you can see, they build on one another. This reading taxonomy outlines the big jumps in reading skills, strategies, and concepts that distinguish one IRLA reading level from the next. These are based on Common Core standards, as we have adopted in Springfield local schools. We adopt the Ohio learning standards, which stem from the Common Core. And so this is a cycle that we have actually started using this past school year. Even in the pandemic, we have started to use the IRLA, the Independent Reading Level Assessment. So the first step is to identify that IRLA level. We've provided quite a bit of professional learning opportunities for our teachers to learn how to assess students. And then we use the IRLA, or the assessment, to diagnose specific instructional needs. And then what's wonderful is that we actually have toolkit lessons in our classrooms that help to teach and model these specific skills that students need that were identified from the assessment. In the past, in classrooms across our district, we utilized the guided reading model, and teachers had to find the books and create their own lessons. We don't have to do that anymore. The lessons are provided, and we can actually target specific skills. And then finally, we provide guided and independent practice differentiated to support students who learn at different paces. So that's the cycle that we've actually been using this school year. And we're already starting to see growth even in a pandemic. So ARC provides instruction that develops a reading brain. And at the heart of that is capturing and inspiring students and engaging them and motivating them to love to read. And that's really the heart of what we want to do in education. This shows a cycle. Once we adopt the core, which will actually be year 2 of our implementation, we will use this model to assess students, then to provide small group skills-based lessons, and then we'll move into whole group lessons in writing and in reading through interactive read-alouds, explicit modeling, shared close reading of complex texts, and we're going to do a lot to promote accountable independent reading so that students, again, become engaged and motivated readers. One thing that you'll notice throughout this presentation is that ARC provides a ton of materials, a lot of books and access to books that are culturally responsive. One of the other pieces that I think sets the American Reading Company apart from other curriculum programs is that ARC nurtures academically successful home routines. So there's actually a component of this program where parents act as home coaches, supervising 30 minutes of home reading each night. And students actually have skill cards that they take home, and it allows families to communicate with their schools exactly what skills their children are working on. So it helps the students basically tell the families what they're learning at school, so that at home they can work on these skills as well. And it's called a home coach contract, where we actually encourage families to sign a contract saying to turn off TVs, computers, phones, and games, which is really hard to do, and actually observe the children reading for 30 minutes. Think and talk about the books, sign home reading log sheets, and then of course pack those books up and return them safely to school. We actually encourage book baggies, so we ask teachers to send home books every night for families to read with their students. So that's a huge component of this program that sets it apart from other programs. The other piece that I think is a real bonus of this program is that it allows us to track real-time growth for every student. So we enter all of the data into School Pace, which is our online reading assessment system. And it tracks the status of the class. It also tracks individual student growth. So we can see growth across the board from the beginning of the school year until special data points that we use for benchmarking. I actually use this data during every single elementary principal meeting, and we discuss the data, we track the data, we look for conferences that teachers are conducting with their students, and this tells us exactly where the students are at and where their power goal is, and where they need to go. So this is a great piece of the program. And then we move into the actual core, the core of the program, which will be year 2 of implementation. And this is where we're going to look at creating readers, writers, thinkers, and I think one of the most important pieces is engaged citizens. This program not only integrates social studies and science standards, but also social emotional learning standards. And it builds vocabulary and world knowledge through active collaborative learning communities. This is a program that is differentiated for students at all levels, and there are core texts that students work through in which they are becoming savvy at complex text, close reading skills, as well as using argumentative text and research labs to expand their critical thinking. So you can see here there are a ton of materials that come with the program because students need access to text, and they need access to text that is across genres, across subject areas or content areas, and most importantly, that is those texts that are culturally responsive. You can see that this is across a whole year. This is a full year of research labs. The first unit is always the literacy lab that sets the tone for the actual whole year experience and helps students become motivated and engaged to read. And then we move into Unit 2, which is an informational reading, writing, and research with a focus on science. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. Unit 3 gets into the literature genre. And then Unit 4 is the argument, writing, and research, and it focuses on social studies. So again, it's a full year of research and students expanding their critical thinking skills. And you can see there are a ton of books that come with this program. We actually had a large variety of books delivered right before winter break, and Kelly Common, our literacy coach, helped organize and curate all of those books. So very thankful for her support. This is a sample unit plan for grades K through 3. I don't have the 4th and 5th grade map yet because the company is still working on that, and I'm actually working with a team of educators in our district to curate those units and titles. But you can see how exciting the studies will be in kindergarten. They're going to learn about zoology, ecology, and entomology. And let me tell you, this connects connects beautifully with our Project Prairie, which is our outdoor science labs. So they're going to be immersed in text that connects directly to our science, citizen science labs outside. And then in grade 1, they're going to learn about wild and endangered animals, focus on family stories and plants, and again, strong connections to Project Prairie, those outdoor learning labs. And then in grades 2 and 3, you can see additional connections to science and topics about our community and sports and society. So they are very engaging and relevant topics to what's happening in our world today. One of the things that I wanted to share with you, this is a very interesting infographic about identity and representation in text and how this really matters. This was a study done in 2018 that what they found is that many of our students that we have in our classrooms are underrepresented in children's books, and we really have to be more cognizant of this. And one of the pieces that I celebrate with this new reading program is that it does really look at curating texts that are culturally responsive. And so the students that we have in our classrooms will actually see characters that look like them. And that's really, really important. And it's always been of primary importance to me as an educator that we make sure that our books reflect our students. And so that is definitely a huge piece in ArtCore. One of the pieces that we're really excited about is that ARC has done a great job of transforming a print curriculum into a digital collection. And we've actually been using the e-libraries this school year in both our brick and mortar and our digital academies. So this is part of the adoption, is including these digital book collections. And we know that we just need to increase access and make sure our students can read print and online. So that is part of the ArtCore as well. A huge piece of ARC is that it encourages a lot of professional learning opportunities for not just our teachers, but for our leadership. So we actually have leadership meetings with our building principals, and we're going to plan on having leadership opportunities for our RTI chair people. And these evolve. They can be workshops, they can evolve into TBT meetings, into even family workshops. So it offers a variety of opportunities to provide high quality professional development in a variety of settings. Okay, so why ARC? Why did we choose ARC? There's a lot of different curriculum programs out there, but I'm giving you just two main reasons, and then I'll wrap it up. Why ARC? Because in Springfield local schools, we need to have a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And a guaranteed and viable curriculum ensures that all students have an equal opportunity to learn. Each student will have access to the same content, knowledge, and skills in each classroom. We know that the goal of ELA is for students to read, understand, and express understanding of complex texts independently. So to accomplish this goal, programs must build students' knowledge and skills in language, comprehension, conversations, and writing integrated around a volume of complex texts and tasks. In grades K through 5, we must also build students' foundational skills to be able to read and write about a range of texts independently. Well, I will tell you, ARC meets all of these indicators. The American Reading Company is also aligned to the science of reading, and that is actually new research based on brain development, and it is fully aligned to the science of reading, which is part of the ODE literacy plan that we must adhere to, and I can say that it is fully aligned. And the other piece is that ARC is a culturally responsive deliverer of content. The second reason I believe that we need to adopt ArtCore is because we do have an achievement gap in Springfield local schools. We were placed on a reading improvement plan in June of 2019 based on our third grade reading proficiency rate. And that is not to place blame on anyone or any particular grade. We know that that third grade reading proficiency rate is really highly dependent on grades K through 2, as well as before they even come to us in Springfield local schools. So without resources aligned to Ohio's learning ELA standards, students across the district do not have equal access to receiving instruction with resources aligned to the standards. So rather, currently they are taught with existing resources that are not necessarily designed to respond to those instructional shifts that are required for college and career readiness. Therefore, we have an achievement gap, but we also have an instructional gap. So we need to adopt a new curriculum so that we can close that gap. And just so you know, we are also in the process of aligning the new curriculum to RTI processes, the response to intervention pieces to meet student needs. Okay, and all of these efforts are to close that achievement gap. Finally, ARC is tied to the ODE Strategic Plan for Education, which we know is a powerful vehicle for school improvement efforts. So ARC builds foundational knowledge and skills. ARC integrates social studies and science through thematic units. ARC promotes problem solving and creativity. And finally, ARC builds social awareness and responsible decision making. Are there any questions?
Karen, thank you so much. Taryn is just, you are just a mountain of knowledge for our school district, and I'm so proud to have you working with us.
Oh, it is my pleasure. You know, being a district employee for several years and also a graduate, I am absolutely proud to serve this district in this capacity. And this is actually a passion of mine. I love literacy and I want to see all of our students successful because I was provided with so many wonderful opportunities here and our students deserve the best. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You do a wonderful job for us.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Lockwood.
Taryn, is that Mrs. Common in the background?
So I didn't want to put her on the spot, but let me just tell you, I have Mrs. Kelly Common here. Please say hi. Hi, everyone. So Kelly is our K-3 literacy coach. She has absolutely done an amazing job working for us to pilot the program in her third grade classroom last school year. And then I begged for her to become our literacy coach because she is a wealth of knowledge and she is a strong instructional leader, not only for teachers, but for our administrators. What I'd like to say is that Kelly wanted to be here to support these efforts. So she graciously gave up her time to come here and sit with me for the presentation. Kelly has been instrumental in making this a smooth implementation thus far, not without challenges because there's always challenges, but always with a smiling face. I want to thank, I would be remiss if I didn't thank some important members of our ARC leadership team for their outstanding support and dedication throughout the process. So I want to make sure that we send out kudos to Bethany Howe, kindergarten teacher at Holloway, Amanda Schlageter, kindergarten teacher at Dorr, Marion Jake, first grade teacher at Holland, Erin Brock, first grade teacher at Chrissy, Shannon Gwads, Title I coordinator for the district, Kelly Kearns, second grade teacher at Dorr, Christy Wilkins, third grade teacher at Holland, and Kelly Hartberger, principal of Holland Elementary, and Kelly Common, K-3 literacy coach for our district. These people have been absolutely amazing to work with, continue to help me grow as an educator, and we are just delighted to begin this journey.
Thank you, Taryn. And thank everyone that was involved with this. All the names you gave us, thank them very much for all their efforts. We appreciate that.
I will, at this time, I will stop presenting and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Excellent work, Taryn. Thank you.
Ryan?
Hi, under my treasurer's report on number 4, I asked for A, you approve the creation of the Raymond E. Burns Junior Memorial Scholarship Fund, which will be Fund 0079023 if approved.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Koback,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Omenski,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, the motion carries. Anything else, Ryan?
I do not have anything else.
Thank you. Mr. Giha,
I apologize that my section isn't as short as Mr. Lockwood's. Do apologize.
that's too bad.
Before you today, first, I'd like to share some things that have been happening. So the vaccine rollout has been occurring throughout our county and all of K-12 public, private, and charters within our county. The date for the majority of our educators to get vaccinated will be this Friday and Saturday, February 12th and 13th. Their second shot of the Pfizer vaccine will be given March the 5th and 6th. Some of the details, I can't share everything, but our larger or broader staff turnout to accept the vaccine is very high. It was really good to see the amount of people that signed up that'll be getting that vaccine this Friday and Saturday. And you know that we shifted our days this week where our kids are going Monday through Thursday so that our staff can get vaccinated Friday and Saturday. So that's going very well so far. Today, the superintendents did get their first shot of the Pfizer vaccine, and I was part of that. It went very well. I am kind of a baby. The shot didn't hurt, and I'm still okay. So excited for that. I'm on a very similar timeline as our teachers that will get it on March the 5th. So that went well today. Christina White, as you know, was there to document the entire event. So it went well. So that leads us to helping school grow to what we've had so far since almost a year ago now, when things drastically changed. I do want to see the vaccine program actually occur Friday and Saturday at UT because they are prepared to do about 9,000 educational staff, drivers, custodians, teachers, principals, secretaries, everybody. But our planning has begun as we look at what we can do, and we're first going to concentrate on pre-K through the 5th grade on growing what we currently do to have kids in class. So that will grow. There's just a lot of details to work out, specifically when it comes to our cafeterias. The current guidance still has a 6-foot separation for anywhere that you eat. So we are currently working on that process. We are working with principals, SEA, and our admin, and then we will work with OPSI as well. So as those details come about, I will have a pretty strong presentation for you, but I want to see the vaccine actually occur Friday and Saturday. Things changed every couple of days, but it is set and planned to go well. Today, I got the registration document to everyone in SLS that signed up to get a vaccine. So we accomplished that by 2:00 today. We got those just before 12 through an email through the health department. And then we sent out all those registration sheets through our nurses today. I am very confident that we are going to be able to add considerable classroom time, PK5, in the very near future. Do you have any questions for the vague presentation I somewhat gave you as we work through this? We are still hiring drivers for transportation and food service employees. The food service part isn't always just someone who will serve in the cafe, but we need cafeteria aides and recess aides as well to make this whole thing work. And we need substitute in those areas as well. You will see that we've hired some today, but we still need to fill those positions and hire a strong core of substitutes. Absences are still a challenge. Our most challenging day yet, we had almost 62 people absent across SLS on one day. And that's hard to operate safely and effectively when that happens. So we continue to monitor that, but we need substitutes in classrooms, in transportation, and in food service as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Matt.
All right. When I go to the agenda, item 5A, to award contracts and changes, you will see under the classified section that we've hired one new driver, so that helps. Then we have a change for Rochelle Frank from the cafeterias to the preschool route in the day. And then we've added some time to transportation as we've added that high school transportation component to Springfield schools.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Kaminsky, Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes,
Hello.
motion carries.
Mr. Ominsky,
Yes,
thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm having issues with my connectivity.
Item 5B, our pupil activity. And you all know Kylie Aller and Chris and Kimberly. And those other three coaches are all returning to us as well at SHS.
Need a motion?
So moved. Second. Did you comment?
Sorry, Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mr. Ominsky,
Yes,
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries.
Item 5C is one of our interpreters is retiring, and they help us across SLL or SLS for state testing or any assistance interpreting for children or parents.
Do we have a backup then?
We are always looking for those all the time, so we will be covered.
Okay, thank you. We need a
So-
motion then?
So moved.
Second.
Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Ominsky,
yes,
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries.
Thanks. And item 5D, we have hired some substitutes. John Scott is actually a graduate who you'll recall from SHS. He was a great kid for us. So 2 teacher subs and 3 subs in the lunchroom and food service department.
Okay, need a motion then?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Geiger,
Yes.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mr. Ominsky,
yes,
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries.
Thanks. And item 5E is Tim at SHS, who's going to help us as an ESY tutor. That is a carryover from our last meeting in January.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Muse,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger?
Yeah.
Mr. Omenki,
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6, I don't have a whole lot, but we have set up a meeting for the safety team to gather in February. And for all of our other teams, I will be sending out those invites soon for master planning, curriculum, and all of the superintendent teams that you are on. I will send those invites out soon. But the safety team will meet. It's in February, and Rick sits on that one, and I sent those invites out yesterday. I do have, discussion of the school calendar for the 21-22 school year. The draft is posted on the webpage. And all of you have this draft. And I ask that we approve this actually February 24th. This calendar does assume that we can start the 21-22 school year as typical as possible. Were there any questions with what you saw on the calendar?
No, but I did have a question. I did see something about the governor was saying we might extend the school year. Is that true, or is that just?
He said some things yesterday that are being absorbed, thought over. He said a lot, which surprised a lot of people. Those words are probably easier to say than they are to act upon when you talk about the availability of staff.
Right.
No question that many people feel they're not getting what they would have gotten if we didn't have COVID. No question.
Right.
But I will argue that our teachers are still working very hard. And if you were to talk to our principals about any category in SLS, whether it's a secretary, a custodian, a driver, a teacher, a principal, this has been a very stressful year. We will look for opportunities when it comes to what we can do for our kids. But right now, I do not have a proposal for you to extend the school year. First, we have to have enough staff to even do that. And we'd have to have the dollars to do that. But this calendar does have us beginning as soon as possible in August. The first student day would be August the 16th. We didn't want to delay that at all and get back to that as soon as possible. But as we look at and see if there's anything that is imposed upon us, I will let you know that.
Okay. Thank you.
Some schools were online all year. We were on and off at least 2 times, but always offered the education that we could for all of our kids, PK-12. Great question, so thank you. I do ask for an executive session for the top item when it comes to investigating charges or complaint against the district.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Corey, if you can tell us when we're live. Thank you.
Need a motion to adjourn?
We adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Mush,
Yes.
Mrs. Geiger?
Yeah.
Mr. Ominski,
Yes.
Mrs. Kovac,
Yes.
and Mr. Harris.
Yes, motion carries.